Let's get right into it. We're going to get into aggressive mini cutting. I know I got a few questions about this, so I'm going to cover everything you need to know about aggressive mini cutting, guys. All right. Here's my experience with aggressive mini cutting. I did it for about 3 to 4 weeks. I went from 193 to 183. As you can see, I probably lost like 2-3% body fat, just some more vascularity, a little bit more cut in my shoulder, and then the waist is slightly smaller, as you can tell. All right. So first of all, before we get into this video, disclaimer: consult a physician before starting any routine. I'm not recommending this, and I'm not a doctor. All right. Let's get right into it. So, what is an aggressive mini cut or sprint? So, it's when your calories are drastically reduced for 3 to 6 weeks in order to shed fat fast. So, we know that a calorie deficit is 500 to 1,000 deficit per day. So, a mini cut is definitely going to be closer to 1,000 plus. So, 1,000 to 1,500 deficit per day. And it's often used if you don't want to do a long cut and you don't have as much fat to lose. So if you have a lot of fat to lose, you're like 40% body fat, or your BMI is above like 30, then this shit is not for you. All right. But if you're leaner and you kind of gain a little bit of weight and you have a photo shoot coming up in 4 weeks or 3 weeks or something like that, then this is definitely for you. All right. So should you do a mini cut? So like I said, a mini cut is not if you're above 40, if you're above 30. If you're in this range right here on the bottom row, you definitely don't want to do a mini cut because like I said, it's an in and out cut, 3 to 6 weeks, right? Just to cut some body fat so you don't have to be in a longer cut. All right. So I would say if you're around 15, trying to get to 10, or in between this 15 and 20, like 18-ish, and you're trying to get down to 10 in like a month, then that can definitely happen. 15 to 10 in a month with the mini cut is definitely possible. Now, obviously, 40 to 10 is going to take a long time, so you don't want to do a mini cut. You want it to be sustainable. You want to do a slow cut. All right. So another thing is a mini cut is not for a beginner. You have to have a lot of muscle mass to even do this, right? And you have to have a lot of experience cutting because it requires a lot of discipline. If you've never cut before and this is going to be your first time cutting, you definitely don't want to do a mini cut. You want to do a regular calorie deficit for a long period of time. All right. Now, what are some of the cons of a mini cut? Like I said, it's extremely restrictive, right? It's not very sustainable, but it's not meant to be. It's meant to be in and out. You do it for like 3 to 4 weeks, and then you go back to your maintenance calories, right? It requires a lot of discipline, and there's less room for error, right? There's going to be less variety nutrition-wise. All right, so the way you want to eat on a mini cut to prevent you from having any vitamin or mineral deficiencies is going to be, obviously you want to prioritize your protein intake, but you want to have a lot of vegetables, a lot of vegetables, and then you want to have a lot of whole foods. You can't fit any fucking Rice Krispies and motherfucking Pop Tarts. All right, I know a lot of people want to get like some Pop Tarts or some Rice Krispies. You can't fit that into a mini cut. All right, you don't have that flexibility. So it's gonna be a lot of vegetables, leaner meats, 99.1 beef, sirloin steak, eggs. It's gonna be very, very clean. No processed foods. So you're gonna go with whole foods, so you won't have any imbalances, any nutrition deficiencies either, right? So breakfast, for example, for me, breakfast would look something like, when I was doing my mini cut, it'd be something simple, like some eggs and then, avocado. The eggs would be with like probably provolone cheese to get some extra protein in. And then in between, I'd have 2 yogurts and some blackberries. And then for dinner, you could do 2 ground beef wraps and then some broccoli or asparagus, green beans, some kind of vegetable, like I said, just to get your nutrients in. All right. Now, your workout routine on the mini cut. Here's a misconception. A lot of people think when you're working out on the cut, it should be different from a bulk. It should pretty much be the same as far as strength training goes. You want to maintain your strength as well. Now, as far as a mini cut, you want to get 8 to 10K steps per day. All right. You want to get 8 to 10K steps per day. I know that might sound like a lot, but this is a mini cut. We're trying to get in and out, trying to lose fat as fast as possible. All right. You don't want to be in a cut for, 6 months, 3 months, then trying to get in and out, then you want to make sure that you're doing 8 to 10K steps a day, strength training 5 to 6 times a week. And like I said, maintaining your strength is going to be super important. All right. 7 to 9 hours of sleep is essential. And of course, a gallon of water. All right. So like I said, my experience, mini cutting, I don't recommend it, but I had a photo shoot coming up in like a 4-week period. So I was like, you know what, let me go from, 192 to 194ish, which is where I was. Let me go down to 185. And I ended up at 183. And it was about 3 to 4 weeks. And like I said, it was more restrictive. It was all berries, broccoli, green beans, ground beef, ground turkey, eggs. It was very, very simple. Protein shakes, Premier Protein shake, super low calories. So everything was super, super clean. So like I said, if you have a photo shoot coming up or you have a short-term goal or you have a lot of muscle and you have a little bit of fat that you gain, then you should definitely recommend. I mean, you should definitely try a mini cut. But if you have a lot of fat to lose, then you do not need to do a mini cut.